it's time for another book, and this is a book that I'm really excited to discuss. You might notice my surroundings seem a little different, the audio might sound a little different. My family is completely asleep. For the first time in a long time, both my kids are asleep, taking a nap, and my husband is sleeping off his overnight shift. So I kind of had to come into the garage where it's nice and quiet and I can, talk for a couple minutes without waking anybody. So this week's book is called Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. The average Goodreads rating is 4.32. I actually gave it 5 stars. So this is a story of a woman named Eleanor Oliphant who she doesn't have any friends. She's an outcast at work, and she develops a crush on a man that is called the musician. That's how she generally refers to him. He does have another name, it's like Johnny Lodeman or something. But she generally refers to him as a musician. And she undertakes this project to better herself for him, for when they eventually meet and when, they're going to get together and he's going to introduce her to the music scene, and, she needs to be appropriate to be on his arm. So she goes and gets a wax job and does all this other stuff, but in the process she starts kind of stepping outside her comfort zone, and at the same time really coming to terms with a lot of the issues that she's had growing up. She did have this enormous trauma when she was a child. Her mother is in prison and she hasn't really dealt with it. And you see how the mother has really affected her through her manner of speech. She uses lots of big words. She speaks very formally. And she's very judgmental of other people. And you see her mention a lot, like no one has any social skills. She is the epitome of social skills and no one else has social skills. What is the society coming to? But after this traumatic event, she's been bounced from foster home to foster home until finally the council, gives her a flat to live in, and she's had the same bookkeeping job for the past 9 years or something. So in the process of trying to better herself for the musician, she, starts really engaging with people at work. She kind of sort of gets involved with, and I don't mean get involved romantically, but she starts a friendship with this guy Raymond at work, and she has a drinking problem as a result of the traumatic experience of her childhood. And it really comes to a head when she goes missing for 3 days. She's in an alcoholic stupor because she finally gets up the nerve to go and meet the musician, and she realizes this is just a crush. Oh my god, I'm almost 30, I'm so pathetic, da-da-da. And she decides she's either going to drink herself to death, or she has an accumulation of pills and Drano and stuff. She's either going to drink herself to death or she's going to, kill herself with one of these methods. And Raymond shows up to the apartment and really saves her life, essentially. And she gets into therapy, and you really start seeing her work through some of these issues. One of the things that I did see on Goodreads, and, I felt it too, the beginning is very hard to get through because Eleanor is distinctly unlikable. And it's not that she's a bad person. It's not that she's overtly self-centered. It's just there's something very out of touch about her. And it isn't that she is a bad person. It's just something happened to her to make her the way she is. And that's really what kind of kept me going with this book. Besides, the writing style is really good. I really enjoyed the writing style. But you see that she is unlikable, but there's a reason for it. There's something fascinating about her. Okay, where is she? What is going on with this? and it's kind of exciting to see her really get outside of her zone. And she meets Raymond's mother, and she and Raymond help this guy Sammy, who has an accident in the middle of the street, and they get him help. And she and Raymond really get drawn together through their experience with Sammy. And then Sammy dies, but they kind of persist with Sammy's family. And it's really kind of cool to see, especially from her point of view, where she is kind of this outsider, and she's experiencing what we consider normal society, experiencing all this stuff for the first time and being like, well, why is this like this? And this is kind of bizarre. Like, and they say, I'm abnormal, like, this is abnormal. But I did really enjoy it. And in my Goodreads review, I did give the author props for the way she handled the musician, because this guy plays such a huge role through, like, the beginning and middle of the book, and then he just fades out. And by the end of the book, like, I didn't even remember him until I was writing my review. I was like, oh yeah. And she did such a good job. It's like, towards the end, every so often, like, she would reference him as, this crush and the thing that, ended up not happening and whatnot. But, she does such a good job fading him out. Like, in the typical, kind of like how a crush goes, it's really intense, and it's like, oh, why did I like that guy in the first place, I also really enjoyed how she treated Raymond, because he is the predominant male figure in the book. He is the, I guess, kind of like the default potential romantic interaction. And, you see it like, okay, maybe there's a little something, but they're mostly just friends. And I really appreciated that she didn't bring it down to either, Raymond saves himself for Eleanor, and, oh, it was you all the time, Eleanor. But she also didn't go to the other extreme where he's a man slut and, is just sleeping around. It's like, I may have slept around, but it was always you, Eleanor. It wasn't cliche either way. It was, yeah, he kind of dabbled with this one woman, and, it was fine, but she's not his type. And at the end, they leave it very, very open. Hey, there's a concert next Saturday. It's classical music. Don't know if you would enjoy that. Would you want to go with me? And it leaves it very open. And it kind of respects Eleanor, actually, in that, she's in the process of coming to terms with the trauma that actually happened to her and the true facts of what happened to her. And it doesn't leave her kind of clinging, I guess, to the potential of a man. It's, okay, she is at this spot. She is becoming, I don't want to say she's becoming normal, but she's becoming healthy. And she's becoming more well-adjusted. And the author doesn't just, oh, here's a man, go at him. So it's not like that, which I really liked. I really appreciated it, and I really felt like it was respectful towards the character. So I really liked that. There's something else I was going to say. I gotta admit, I was very surprised. So through the book, every Wednesday, Eleanor has a conversation with Mummy, British mom. And, she never calls the mom calls her, and the entire time, like, the mom is so verbally and emotionally abusive. And there were a couple spots where I just, like, did she really just say that? Like, calling her an abysmal sack of human trash and stuff, like, horrible stuff, saying horrible things. And you find out in the end that the mother's actually dead. Like, the mom died. The mom set a fire intended to kill both of her children, and Eleanor survived. The mom and Eleanor's little sister died. So the entire time, Eleanor just, Mommy has been a figment of her imagination, and she's just been verbally and emotionally abusing herself. I guess that's kind of unfair to say. She hasn't been abusing herself. It's that she is dealing with the aftermath of what she experienced at her mother's hands. I mean, when your mother is like to the point of setting a fire intended to kill the kids, because it comes out like the mom drugged the kids and like physically restrained them, and the little sister was actually tied up in a closet when the fire was started. And Eleanor was found at the closet trying to open the door to get her sister out. Like, it's so heartbreaking. And then you find out that the mom died, and it's like, on the one hand, you're like, okay, cool. Not cool. But, you know, for lack of a better phrase, cool that she died because, hey, you meant to kill your kids, but you killed yourself instead. It's kind of like, when you have a mass shooter and then they end up getting taken out, and you're like, well, good. And that probably sounds like a horrible human being thing to say, but admit it, you've thought it too. But at the same time, it also kind of sucks that she was actually dead the entire time, because that means that Eleanor, like, was so messed up by this that she actually went, like, kind of Norman Batesy kind of identity, where she created this, not personality, but this repeating episode in her mind week after week, where she would talk to her mom and her mom would continue to abuse her. You know, like, that's so unbelievably depressing that a person would have to, it's been almost 20 years of continuing the abuse, and the person's not even real, it's in your head. So, I mean, that just really broke my heart. And again, I give props to the author for her ability to really pull that out and be like, hey, you think that's the end of the story? Bam! Mommy's not real. Mommy's dead. It's like... So, like I said, the beginning of the book, I did see a lot of people get turned off by Eleanor's personality and the way she is portrayed. But having read the entire book, I think if you hang in there and you just keep reading, I think you will enjoy it. Now that you've heard all the spoilers and you know how it ends anyway, I do think it's worth reading. I really enjoyed it. I think the author, I returned the book already. The author did, I don't know, she may or may not have read other stuff. Point being, I am interested in reading more from this author. So 5 stars, definitely recommended. And, it just got me thinking, like, I don't know. It's, like, if I were in that situation, I don't know how I would react. And I guess, this is a common thread through my videos, is I don't know how I would respond to this. But it's just like, when Eleanor herself says, like, Mom was a bad person. Like, I don't think I'm bad like her, but Mom was a bad person. And she asked her therapist, how much of that do you think is genetic? Like, how much of that badness do you think was passed on to me? And I think it was an episode of CSI I saw once. I think it was CSI. Oh no, it was Law and Order SVU. Where, I wish I could remember her name. Mariska Hargitay's character, if I remember correctly, her character's birth was, her mom was raped. And in one of the episodes, you do see her talking about, my dad raped my mom, like how much of that is genetic, how much of that is coming to me. How much, what do you think? How, like, obviously there's mental illness and there are genetic, correlations and predispositions for certain aspects of mental illness and certain types of mental illness, but that kind of badness where you literally rape someone or go to kill someone, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, if you found out that your parent was a rapist, your parent was a murderer, whatever, would you be concerned? Like, is that, do you think you would worry about getting those genes or that kind of genetic inheritance? Like, would you worry about that? For me personally, like, my father was not a good person. I won't get into all the specifics, but he was not a good person, and I never worried about it myself. Like, for me, it was, no, he was a bad person. My mom raised me to be a good person. There's no problem here. But, seeing it in media as this repeating theme of, well, they were bad, does that make me bad? Or, is there that bad potential in me? Is that something that you would be worried about, or something that would, cause you to lose sleep at night? For me, I think the answer is no, just based on my own personal experience. But I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. So that is my review. Definitely recommended. Go read it. It's a recent release, published this year. Definitely recommended. I will be looking for more stuff from this author. In the meantime, I started reading another book called The Vanishing, which so far, it's okay so far. It's not like riveting, but it's interesting. So we'll see how we go with that. I did get a request to read Girl on the Train. That did finally arrive. I ordered a cheap copy off Amazon. I'm all about the penny books on Amazon. So that did finally arrive. So that is in my stack. That video will be forthcoming. So thank you to the person who recommended that to me. And otherwise, I'm doing a lot of sewing right now. So if you see a slowdown in the video, it's because I got like 3 requests for sewing projects. So I'm kind of balancing that with this and, taking care of the kids and all that. So, please don't hate me if, I don't have, a video again tomorrow. But, I'm getting to it. So that is all for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos like this. Give me your suggestions for books to read in the comments. If you want to continue this discussion, tell me what you thought of the book. I hope you do go to read it, and after you read it, hit me up in the comments. And until next time, readers, you have a great, great, wonderful day.